exist in a cold, cold world, but it's hot out here. It's the reason why we living in fear. I could die from the pole lie, that ain't no lie. I done seen death up close with my own eyes. Try to say goodbye, but the spirit still live on. This a cry for help, you can hear it in this song. Better days are coming, cause the sun is still come up. When it's time for you to see me, I'll be there when you run up. Keep running.
James Bird Jr. was a 49-year-old African-American in Jasper, Texas, who was offered a ride. Instead, he was chained by the ankles to a pickup truck and dragged to his death by 3 white men. He was also beaten and sprayed painted in the face with black paint on June 7, 1998.
Marian Pizzacco was a 54-year-old college Jew in Detroit who was beaten to death by a group of black teens angry over the death of a young black man shot outside Bolton's Bar and Grill by a white owner on August 11, 1975.
Christopher Wilson was an African-American 31-year-old in Brooklyn who was robbed, dosed with gasoline, and burnt alive on New Year's Day by the KKK.
James Craig Anderson was a 47-year-old African-American in Jackson City who was beaten and ran over by a truck for being black in 2011. Ahmaud Arbery was a 25-year-old in Georgia State who was chased and shot down in 2020.
Francis McIntosh, age 26, born in the city of St. Louis, was lynched and burned alive for the stabbing of the deputy who told him that he would be serving 5 years for disturbing the peace in 1836.
Hawkins was a 16-year-old African-American in Brooklyn, New York, who was either mistakenly as a random target in the place of another black teenager who was dating a local girl. He has been murdered after being approached by a mob of white teens.
Be sure of what you hope for, and certain of what you don't see. Have faith, listen to me. I said be sure of what you hope for, and certain of what you don't see. Have faith, listen to me. I said listen to me, you gotta listen to me. I said listen to me, you gotta listen.
What we doing? Going out to interview people, public interviews, street interviews. You know what I'm saying?
What you hope for, is certain of what you don't see. Have faith, listen to me. I said be sure of what you hope for, is certain of what you don't see. Have faith, listen to me. I said listen to me, you gotta listen to me. I said listen to me, you gotta listen.
What is the problem with racism?
I think the problem with racism is how the media disseminates it, how it happens. You know, I think that people, when racism actually happens, it needs to be portrayed as it actually happens. It does not have to be sugar-coated to make anybody feel uncomfortable. It needs to be, you need to be felt uncomfortable for racism to be eradicated in this country.
So what is the problem with racism?
What's the problem with racism? Oof, that's a good question to be recorded on. I think, as a white person, I think there's a lot of white people that probably haven't done anything about it. And I think there are probably a lot of white people that were in a position to do something about it. I personally can appreciate that Black people haven't stopped making it known that there's a problem. I think that was needed for people to actually do something about it and start to make a change.
The first question is, what is the problem? What's the problem with racism?
That people don't see people of other races as, equals.
I believe people based on and not what's inside. The judge just maybe the way that someone looks or someone's status, if they're rich or they're poor, things like that. That's what I would think.
So I think the problem with racism is that it's a matter of fear. The people, when they don't understand or don't know about a particular group, it causes people to act in ways that are just not normal.
Hope for is certain of what you don't see. Have faith, listen to me. I said be sure of what you hope for is certain.
Basically explaining lynching and trying to learn how to stop it from happening.
So is this bill the actual real lynching of people, or is it some symbolic way that folks are lynched today? We know how, what happened to Emmett Till, how he was actually lynched. And that happened a lot back then. But I think lynching still goes on. It's just probably not done the way it was done back then. You know what I'm saying?
I get it.
So, exactly what I mean. Okay.
But during like in the internet, like people have ever heard of it was like it was two white men and a black guy who were on the trip, and they said that he got like burnt or something like that or hung, and then it was like both the white men, they came back safe and sound. That's basically that's part of what the anti-lynching is.
So I guess it's any kind of behavior that is wrong, that is done to a black person. Yeah. Whether it's a physical lynching or whether it's just something really cruel. Yeah. So yeah, I think that bill would help our communities a lot. But it's got to be real enforcement behind it. So sometimes the bill is written, but that's all it is. It's just something on paper. So the important part of, I think, the bill and things that you're trying to do, not only just to create or to draft or to legislate something, but to make sure that there's a piece in it that says how it will be implemented. Like how will they do, what will they do if this happens? What are some of the consequences that could happen if this showed up?
Yeah. How have you contributed to the anti-lynching?
I think I do that every day in some way. Oftentimes when families have been treated unfairly in the criminal justice system, we may go to court with them. We have a program called Participatory Defense, and it's just that. It's a way that we help people understand the criminal justice system so that they aren't railroaded in court or they aren't, getting some injustices happening to them. So Participatory Defense is a community-based group of folks who help people understand the criminal justice system so they won't be misrepresented in court, so that they understand court better when they have to go, and so that they get justice and not receive injustices in so many cases when people don't have the knowledge. So I hope the lynching bill will help educate people on the systems that they are having to deal with so they know how to better to fight, but fight the system in order to be able to get the justice that oftentimes they deserve and oftentimes they don't get because of the color of their skin. And that's what happened with Emmett Till, remember? Those white guys got off, but we had to keep fighting. We can't just say, okay, well, nothing's going to ever change, because things do change. We have to continue to fight and do different things like you all are doing to make a difference.
My question is, do you think naming the bill after Emmett Till was a bad idea?
So there was thank you for your question. There was a quote, and I'm thinking Ms. Wilkie, the ones who write history often are the ones that are right, because they're writing history, they control the narrative. So I think it's important that you name that bill after one of the most prominent public lynchings of someone in this country. It's important to be accurate to tell history. Even with teaching critical race theory classes, I think you need to be accurate on what and why you're passing certain legislation. Again, you just have to tell the story. You have to tell people experiences. You have to be accurate on what actually happened. So yeah, I think it's very critical to name that bill after.
For it's certain of what you don't see. Have faith, listen to me. I said be sure of what you hope for. It's certain of what you don't see. Have faith, listen to me. I said.
Hi, I'm Damani Bowman. I work for the company called The Crew. We are working on the Emmett Anti-Lynching Act, and I have heard that you had a racist situation during your time, and I was wondering if you could tell me about it.
Absolutely. So I frequent Southwest Philadelphia a lot. I have family in that section of the city. And we go to a park called Clark Park. Now, Clark Park is a beautiful space. It has picnic tables. It has vendors on the weekends, a farmer's market. So it's a community space. Over the last 10 years or so, the area has been gentrified. So a space that once had many African Americans coming and doing festivals, now there are a lot of white people that have moved into the neighborhood. And for the majority of the time, it has been non-problematic. People have been welcoming to share the space, but on this particular afternoon, it was a little rainy, and I pulled over to stop and to run my dogs at the park. Running your dogs means like you take your dogs and just let them run off their energy in a big open space. And so as a part of the Clark Park, there is a section called the Clark Park Dog Bowl. It was a tongue twister. There is a section of the park called the Clark Park Dog Bowl. And it is called the Dog Bowl because it is, first of all, on an entirely separate block. So there's a whole park separated by a major street that the humans usually go to. And then there's the dog section, which is literally a enclave, like a concave of the grass into the earth, and it's like a big bowl really, and the dogs can go down the hill, and usually if you go there on a weekend, you'll see 30-40 dogs there. It's crazy, and it's called online, even if you look it up, the Clark Park Dog Bowl. Now, for all intents and purposes of this story, it is not an official dog park, but it has been used as a community space, and the community has treated it as such for years, over a decade. Since I was going there, I was expecting to see dogs. I show up, and there are a few white people in the park with their dogs standing to the left, but immediately to my right, there was a white family that set up a soccer game, which is very odd. You don't bring toys to a dog park. It's a thing. People know you don't bring toys or objects because dogs can get aggressive when it comes to stuff, and they get very possessive. And my dog in particular, my Rottweiler, is obsessed with balls. If she sees a ball anywhere, she can't hear her name, she can't hear it, she's chasing it. And so she saw this man's soccer game and involved herself. She went right in and was chasing his soccer ball, and he got so upset. And he started yelling at me, "This isn't a dog park, you need to leave." And he started grabbing my dog and trying to rip her collar off and shaking her fur. I mean, he was really gripping her up. And then he's saying to me, like, "Your dog better not bite me." And my first question to him was like, well, you're literally grabbing her and yelling at her mom. Like, I kind of think you're the aggressor, but I was just trying to get her and leave. Because at that point, I'm like, why are you talking to me? And I'm telling him, like, this is a dog park. I'm surprised. I feel like this is a bad space for you to set up a soccer game. And he continues to say to me, this isn't a dog park. This isn't a dog park. You need to leave. At the same time that there are 3 other dogs to the left with 3 white owners, and he is not saying any of that to them.
It's certain of what you don't see. Have faith, listen to me. I said be sure of what you hope for. It's certain of what you don't see. Have faith, listen to me.
I think, community engagement, people just, connecting with people of other races, finding out what the problems are, like what other people's problems are, and getting to know them better, understanding them better, and, getting to know them on their level so that they understand them and see them as their equals as human beings.
My solution, I feel like, is just education. I think that people look at Black people sometimes with the wrong lens, and they villainize us just for the color of our skin. And this seems trivial, but I think that it's even done with my dogs. So I have dogs that they look rough, This a Rottweiler. She's a girl. They always think she's a boy. They always think she's aggressive, and she's the sweetest pie. Will cuddle with you all night. But the same thing happens to black people. You know, just like you as a young black man, you're sweet as pie. And I know you don't want me to say that, but you are a wonderful person. And my fear for all black men growing up is that they look at you and they're going to villainize you for the color of your skin, and you're going to look aggressive to them because you have a hoodie on, and look aggressive because you have dark skin. You know, so my solution, I feel, is just education. Like, we need to get together. People need to get to know people. You are a person. I am a person, okay? And if he would have just taken a second, hey, throw the ball. Let the dog play with the ball. Let's come up with a game plan together. Hey, okay, I want to get you your ball back, all right? Let her go get it. We'll let her run off. I'll go get the ball and throw it back to you. And then, hey, maybe this isn't a good time to be at the park. We'll come back later. You probably shouldn't be here next time, you know? But I definitely think that people getting to know each other instead of just coming in and thinking, okay, this is my space now. Like, no, you're joining our space. This was our space. We were here first. My favorite protest that I saw during the pandemic is this protest that these people did, and it wasn't just black people, it was black people, it was white people, it was Chinese people. They paraded down a very gentrified park.
I think there's multiple solutions. I think there has to be change at a systemic level in terms of like government and policies and structures, because a lot of systems and policies and laws are inherently racist. I also think education is a matter of people learning more about other cultures and being exposed to different ways of life.
In simple forms, maybe love, so that people can realize that people are equal, and people that have more power can help use that power to give that to people that don't have the power currently.
I think you have people like you are the solution. The future's the solution. People like you guys of all different shades, colors, going out there and just treating everybody the same. And recognizing that no matter how rich, how small, what color, what nationality, that everybody deserves the right treatment.
What is the solution to racism?
The solution is for racism, I'm gonna be straight up honest here. It is a white people problem. They have to change the way they look at racism. It's not us. We cannot solve racism. We are not the power. They are the power. Maybe not the individuals, but the people who support their kind of superficial beliefs that racism even exists. So the only thing for it to happen is for white people to actually humble themselves and say, look, I don't want to be called a racist. I know my little granddaughter isn't racist, and she plays with little black kids. So when she matriculates and gets to an age of maturity, she should understand the people that she was hanging around when she was kids are still the same people.
How do you do this?
I feel like not a lot of people care enough about what's happening. They're just like, I think that there's some people that don't even know about it or about this lynching that's been going on or have gone. But I just like people need to be notified and just see how much that people of color, or like not just people of color, but specifically people of color that have suffered from such pain in the past. So as the crew, like as what we're doing is, it's like more than just showing a few people. It's like it's showing the world. It's showing them, like it's just trying to make sure that people know that we're like people that have or have dealt with like pain in that way. Like just want to make sure that they're okay. Like, there are people that have like dealt with the same things as you, and as a matter of fact, even worse. So there are people that's like on your back, and there's people right there beside you.
Here.
Z, still screaming out that chain gang. Whole gang, whole man, old school, young Jack. Hold these brothers my guys, know that they fly, know that they ride or die. Hold these brothers my guys, know that they fly, know that they ride or die, know that they ride or die.